saling memerlukan antara kita.
That was a bit short. I want more of that. Yeah, Ernie. Wednesdays with Ernie begins with that short clip song, which is "This Is Who We Are," and that was produced by Out Loud and Edson, founder of Edson Group of Companies and also CEO Ernie Chen, right next to me today. How are you, Ernie?
Doing great, Anne. Thank you very much.
Great, and we also have another person to join us today. For the first time, it's usually just me and Ernie. Daniel Tan, welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Great. And Daniel is an apprentice at Out Loud Studios.
That's right.
How long have you been an
This is actually
there?
my second week there, and so far it's been pretty good.
Cool.
So far.
Explain the song, Ernie.
The song is "This Is Who We Are." It's very much on who we are as Malaysians. So what we wanted to send the message across is that it doesn't matter whether you're Chinese, Malay, Indian, or whether you are Kadazan Dusun, or whether you're N. Edwards. Whatever race that you are, this is who we are. We are Malaysians, and that's what the song is conveying. We sang in 4 different languages. If we could sing in Dusun, Kadazan, and every other language, we would as well. So that's what we wanted to tell Malaysians. This is who we are. Stop fighting, stop bickering. Let's come together as Malaysians, unite together as one, and enjoy ourselves and be more patriotic towards our country.
And that brings us to our topic tonight, which is education to develop patriotic future generations. Number to call 0326937008 if you'd like to talk to Ernie Chen, and also Daniel Tan in the studio with us. And this topic, I'm sure, brings a lot of memories and also is close to your heart. Ernie, why?
It's very close to my heart because I am a true Malaysian, and I have never wanted to be any other race but Malaysian. That is my race. I'm Malaysian, and that's what and who we are. So why is it very close to my heart? It's very important because this is my country. This is my land. This is where I was born, and this is where I grew up. And wherever I've been all over the world, doing my businesses and also doing my talks, sharing my experiences all over the world, I always feel like the best place that I have ever been to is my home country, Malaysia. The more I travel, the more I see, the more I appreciate my country. And that's why I feel it's time for us to share with Malaysians, you know what, it doesn't matter what is happening. Most importantly, we as Malaysians must make it better day by day and wanting to do better for the country.
So when you say education to develop patriotic future generations, there's not necessarily or particularly a syllabus or discipline in school, colleges, or even universities. So how are we going to go about educating ourselves to be better patriotic people?
Sure, you definitely do not just have courses like civic courses in school, moral studies in school. Having moral studies in school doesn't make you a more moral-driven individual. It just doesn't work that way. What we need to do, we need to put in place communities of practices, people who understand, who is able to come together to do something together, to achieve something together. Sports, for example, is something that is very powerful, that can unite people to be more patriotic towards their own country. Take football. Malaysia has always lost in many, many years after our Moqtadaharis, Sochinans of the previous years. We have forgotten that we could actually win football games. We could actually develop great football players. And today, as we speak, we have 2 Malaysian soccer stars who are trying out for English teams in the EPL. So it's very important for us to know one thing, is that we must never forget there are certain things called sports, for example, that can unite Malaysia. And when we last played and we won the Suzuki Cup, the country came together because of one simple team, football, the country came together wanting the Malaysian team to win. And that cross borders. It's no longer who you are, what we are. It's about us coming together as a country to win a game. And that's what it's really all about.
So sports is definitely one
Sports is
area
definitely one of the things that
where you
community
can
practices
unite
come
people.
together.
Yes,
Yeah.
And that also can be non-political.
Exactly. A lot of times political is driven by politicians. It's very driven by human beings. We need to be driven by our love for our country. We need to be driven for what patriotism is really about. Patriotism is really about us having a relationship between us and our father. It's like us and the country. It's like us and our father. A father, being a country, is supposed to protect and nourish us as the children of the country. So we are all anak-anak Malaysia. And if we are all anak-anak Malaysia, our country needs to protect us, provide us that feeling that we are protected, provide us that feeling that we are being nourished consistently, continuously. That's what all Malaysians want to feel from their father, their parent, the country. And the question is really, is our country providing us that security, that nourishment, that will allow us to grow and become Malaysians that's truly a Malaysian that belong to this country? That is the question we need to answer.
Yeah. And Daniel, Ernie is very patriotic here. Are you as patriotic as Ernie?
I would say I am not as patriotic as him, but I would very much like to be patriotic. There are a lot of things that I love about my country. However, there are things that I'm not proud of, corruption, and Malaysia, as you can see, is a country with, you know, we can be so much better than this. Look at Singapore, you know, they have not much good resources. They are, you know, but they're so much more advanced than us. We have relatively cheap land, we have good resources, we are free from natural disasters, but we are not, you know, in advance, or we're not ahead as the other countries, or as far as I would like us to be. So I think that, having said that, I really love Malaysia, but I think that we can do a lot better.
Why I brought this young man on the show today, he's doing an internship, he's an apprentice. And why I brought him on is because he was born in America. 3 years later, he came back to Malaysia. So he's a Malaysian, and he's going to go to Australia to study. I brought this young man because we're talking about future generations. He's going to be the future generation of Malaysia. And he just told you, he's not as patriotic. And the first thing he did was, he compared us with Singapore.
Right.
And I'm like...
And he's being honest, right?
And he's being honest.
Yeah.
So it's very concerning that our young and our future generation is always comparing us with Singapore. I'm not saying Singaporeans are very patriotic towards the country. They may not necessarily be. But the fact of the matter is Malaysians are feeling that they are more patriotic towards the country. That should be a cause concern over here. Why our young future generations not as patriotic as we would like them to be? So I brought a young man here who just joined my organization as an intern for 3 months here, and I wanted him to share his opinion. Being a young generation, he's 21 years old, and being born in America, coming back to Malaysia, leaving the country. Question is he even thinking about coming back or not coming back, which is fine. Bottom line, is he proud being a Malaysian?
We'll definitely ask him in a short while, but we have a caller on the line right now, Encik Nizam from Johor Bahru. Hello.
Hello, yeah, good evening.
Hi Nizam, glad you could join us again.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, just like to share my view in related with this patriotic.
Sure.
Now, okay. Now, I believe in this country, this is my views. In this country, we have a sense of the one of the reasons that we are very peaceful, that is due to we have a sense of respecting each other. Okay, now. I'm taking one example, most probably a third countries that have one race only. For example, let's say Pakistan. They are fighting each other. They are just one race. They are fighting each other. Because one thing, the religious element and all that, etc. Now, I'm sorry, one of the reasons that we are peaceful in this country is due to we are respecting each other, no matter what race and all that. Now, also, related in this patriotic, what do you think, Ernie, that we are still, still occupied by the concept of sharing the cakes? Sharing the cakes in terms of prosperity to all the races. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks Nizam. Very good question actually.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah?
Thank you very much for your question, Nizam. are we too concerned about sharing the cake? As you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about we should not be so concerned about competing among our races for the cake, because we're no longer competing with the 28 million of people in Malaysia. We need to start thinking that it's a globalized environment. We start competing with the world, and the world has 6 billion people, and it's going to be increasing continuously year after year. So what is important is that we need to understand, it doesn't matter whether you're Malaysian Chinese, Malaysian Indian, Malaysian Kadazan, or whatever race that you come from, we must first and foremost remember we are Malaysian competing in a globalized environment with global citizens. So are we too concerned about the cake that is shared around here? The Prime Minister talked about merit system today in the Star paper that talks about the Bumiputras, let's select the best people, remove the quota, because you just give quota, they're not going to come up very well. But again, the Malays would then be competing among the Malays. Yes, there is a bigger population of Malays, so do we give a bigger chunk to the population? In many ways, to eradicate poverty, you do need to do that. But to a certain point in time, we need to remove that, because the Malays will no longer be competing, Malays alone or the Chinese, they'll be competing with the world. So they are taking progression steps by steps to ensure that that happens, but that has got to happen. It has to be competing based on 100% merit system. Period. Doesn't matter whether you have a merit system for the Malays or the Chinese or the Indians, you just have to have a merit system from competency standpoint. Period.
Right. So that actually answers his question in terms of respect for each other.
Sure.
And sharing that economic pie. Actually,
but you can share the economic pie, but at the end of the day, the world don't talk about, hey, you know, this is your Malaysian pie. They just say that this is the worst pie. Who is going to go out there and win the worst pie? If you are good, it doesn't matter whether you are Malaysian, Chinese, Indian or Malay, as long as you're Malaysian, you're good, you can eat the pie from any parts of the world. And that's what it's about. But we're so concerned, always fighting for the same old pie that's in Malaysia. Why? Because we think we are just jago kampongs. We are not. We are much better than that, you know. I charge people a lot of money speaking in their countries. Americans fly me over to America to do work for them. Why does it have to be? We got to always learn and pay because they are Americans. I'm not saying they're no good. We can learn a lot, transfer a lot of knowledge. But at the same time, don't forget that we have developed ourselves over the years. We have become a lot better than what we used to be. We are Malaysians who have come from a very long place, far away. And today we're getting better. But we're saying get better faster, because the time will not wait for us to get better. We just need to get better now.
Yeah. And Daniel, what do you think? Do you think that there is a sense of patriotism when you were in school, or there's this sense of patriotism because you imitate other countries, for example, like the US or even Japan? Yeah. How is it like for you?
I feel that, you know, the fact that a lot of people, especially the younger generation and I, we tend to idolize people from America and Japan is strictly because we just don't have anyone from Malaysia, you know, to respect, to like. The only few people I feel that the younger generation likes are people like maybe athletes, Nico David, Lee Chong Wei. I feel that these are people that we actually, you know, we support and people we idolize. Having said that, I cannot say much about the politicians and stuff like that. So I feel in a way we don't really have our own identity. We don't know who we represent. So we are forced to, you know, follow the media, you know, watch American TV shows, follow how they dress, follow how Americans' culture is. And I feel that, you know, it's something that you follow the trend, you follow your friends, you follow people around you, your neighborhood and stuff like that. So I don't really think that it has a bit to do with patriotism, obviously, but you cannot really blame the younger generation for this. It happens subconsciously. So, yeah, that's what I think.
It's actually also feeling proud of Malaysia. And what do you want to feel proud about? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Ernie and also Daniel, don't go away. Be back in a moment. Thanks for staying with us. This is Helo Malaysia, and we've been discussing about education to develop patriotic future generations. Quite a vast and also heavy topic, I would say, but we've reached and derived at a question as to whether we are proud of our country, and Daniel did give his input just now. Ernie, what about you?
Oh, I'm extremely proud of my own country. We come from different generations. That's why I wanted to bring him here to share his opinion. It's not about whether I'm proud, I'm extremely proud. I'm so proud as a Malaysian that I glow saying that I'm a Malaysian, right? Why? Because this is the place where I was born. This is a place where I have all my childhood memories that are beautiful and fantastic. I had a great time learning about life in Malaysia. I had a great time falling in love in Malaysia. I had a great time falling out of love in Malaysia. And then I left the country and I was sad. But I returned to Malaysia because I wanted to do my part for my country. Wherever I go in the rest of the world, I will always be second citizen. In Malaysia, I'm always number one, first citizen. That's why I voice my opinions and I say it as it is, because I love my country.
Is that why you came back after 8 years studying and working in the US?
Yes, I wanted to be able to contribute to my country. I wanted to be able to be closer to my family. I wanted to be able to do something for my country. One of my professors, when I was studying in America, asked me this question: Ernie, you know, you got a lot of talents. You can do a lot of things. Why are you not doing something for your country and you're here doing it in America? Then I started to think, you know what, you're right. I am able to do a lot of things. And if I'm going to be doing a lot of things for the Americans, which is nothing wrong with that at all, there's nothing wrong, why not come back and contribute to my country? And that's why I came back. And I came back, I started businesses, and I learned a lot of things, and I start to do more things back for my people. You know, I create job opportunities by starting new businesses. I work very hard to ensure that Malaysians understand better that you don't need to be afraid of the rest of the world. I'm thoroughly encouraging young people to speak up for themselves, but we come from very different worlds. I don't expect them to feel the way I feel. That's why I want them to say what their opinions are today, of them feeling whether they are patriotic or not. And by that, that's facing reality. And that means we need to do something more if we want our future generations to be more patriotic.
So do you think that over the years there has been a sort of, decadence or even reduction, yeah, in that feeling of being patriotic? Do you think that has sort of diminished?
I think definitely so, because it has a lot to do with what our country do for the rakyat. At the end of the day, is the governance of the country, whatever policies you put in place, whatever campaigns you put in place, whether it's One Malaysia, whether it's this Malaysia, that Malaysia, it doesn't matter. Bottom line is, the people, the rakyat, wants to feel and see and experience real changes. So, to us, we should never just depend on all these campaigns and all these things. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we as Malaysians ourselves be responsible as a Malaysian to do something about it to make this place a better place. For example, I'm just a normal citizen of Malaysia, so what do? I inculcate values that are true to the Malaysian system in my organization. I expect my people to deliver the highest, best quality. You either do it well or you don't. You don't just try. As Malaysians, that's the kind of exceptional quality we expect from the country. And that starts with our people. Parents need to expect more from the children. They cannot just be babying and pampering their kids. Today, our children will no longer be competing with just our neighbors. Our children will be competing with the rest of the world. If we keep on babying them and pampering them, they're not going to grow up to become great Malaysians. They're not going to grow up to become good, supportive, useful Malaysians that help our country. Stop blaming the government. Stop listening just to those politicians. Listen to our heart as Malaysians. What can we do for our country? We need to take responsibility as a true-born Malaysian in the country. What can we do for our country before we start saying the government is not doing anything for me, the opposition is not doing something for me? We're always just blaming the rest of the world. We're blaming everybody for us not having a better country. Why don't we look within ourselves? What am I doing myself as a Malaysian for my country? Start there. I think if we start there, we do that, things will start to change. People will start to see more things happening instead of being influenced all the time by who say what say what, and therefore we feel this way because that person say that. You were born in this country. I'm born in this country. We were born in this country. We should have our own reasons of why I should be patriotic as an individual living in Malaysia.
Great. Okay, we have another caller on the line, and Mr. Lingam from Malacca. Hello, Mr. Lingam.
Good evening, Anne.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
You have a question?
Good evening, Ernie.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Lingam.
Yeah, and your guest.
Yes.
Now, you're talking about patriotism, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, to educate people to be more patriotic. And I remember, as what Ernie was telling, when we grew up, when we were young, when we grew up, we love each and one another, and the patriotism in us was so great then. You know, there was no barrier, there was no boundaries between one another. I go to your house, you come to my house, I have this celebration that is about the country, we celebrate and we come in big turnouts and all that. But what I see nowadays is this, that we have lost it. I feel that we have lost in a big way after the 1980s, where a lot of things have been, you know, segregation and putting up one race up and then down with the others. And lately, if you look at Fly the Flag of Malaysia during Merdeka, I remember when about 6-7 years ago, 10 years ago, when we used to go and look for flags to put on our car, put on our houses. But lately, I see people are not putting their flags or flying their flags. They say that, we are now under an opposition, this state is under an opposition, this state, people don't like the ruling government. It is not the government that we are supporting. It's the country that we live.
Thank you.
Whichever we support, doesn't matter is a opposition or whatever it is, a ruling government can be the BN government, whatever it is, a flag must be flown as patriotic. You must be patriotic to fly the flag, not to just because this is taken over by another party that you do not want to fly the Malaysian flag. So here you see, even a car, the Proton car, which is at one time under we were together with Mitsubishi. Today, even behind the Proton car, you see MNC, Mitsubishi Motor Company. They don't even want their Proton company to be there. So where is our patriotism towards the nation? So as I was telling you, it is eroding. People are not happy. So that's the reason why that, you know, how much you put in. I remember those days, I love this country so much. Today, so much so that I don't feel much about it. No doubt, I'm still a patriotic citizen of this nation. But the love is always there, but the younger generation will not see this. Because why? Their thinking is different. They never saw the history of this country. Today's history book doesn't teach you about the country. Today's history book teaches you something else. What is happening in the past, what people fought for the past, they do not know anything. So they are not patriotic. So I feel that we should do more and generate all these things towards the younger generation to love the country, to fly the flag in case whoever who is ruling it, not to change the color of the flag when you take over. But that is not patriotic. So that's what I have to say. Thank you very much, Anne. Thank you, Amy. I hope you'll be still next week with us.
Yes, next week, definitely. Thank you, Mr. Lingam. Actually, very, very touching comments.
Yeah. And that's exactly why we are here. We are sharing on, it doesn't matter what flag you fly. Bottom line, you fly your country's flag. And that's the country that we live in, and that's the country that we deserve, because that's our country.
Yeah, and in terms of education, is it true what Mr. Lingam has suggested, that it's not, I mean, it's not in your history books, it's not in your syllabus, and therefore you cannot appreciate, I
feel that it is in our history books, but the way that it's presented to us, it makes me feel that it's kind of forced. The whole education system is forcing us to be patriotic. They're forcing us to love our country. And you don't really force love. Since in primary school, they were forcing us to memorize patriotic songs. They were forcing us to know which color goes where, like whether the sun should be red, whether, you know, stuff like that. So I feel that my whole life, the education system hasn't really been trying to make me feel that I love my country. It's more like asking me, you know, like forcing me to love my country. And I feel that's the problem as to why schools don't really succeed in, you know, building patriotic students.
So what should be effective here? What in your mind can be an effective tool, to instill and increase this spirit of patriotism among Malaysians?
Definitely not the national service, because that's exactly what Daniel just mentioned over here. If you put national service, putting the races together, when the commander say, yes sir, everybody will say yes sir together, and that's called forcing.
But it's that national service is what I imagine it to be, because I did, you know, undergo military training as well, and it is more to instill discipline.
Sure.
So this curriculum is more to integrate the races.
Sure.
Is that right? Is it working?
You would definitely like to integrate races. I think they have a lot of successes in that, in integrating, letting them feel closer between the races. But the bottom line is, what happens after the 3 months when they go back home? They go back to their own communities. Do they really still feel integrated with the other races? Is it sustainable? It's a good start, it's a good move. Bottom line is this: anything that's sustainable has to come within. What Daniel said comes from a young man's mouth. You are forcing me to learn how to love my country. You are forcing me how to learn to live with the other races. It shouldn't have to be that way. It should be, I was born in the country, my next door neighbor is a Malay gentleman who was a kid, my right door neighbor is an Indian gentleman who was a young kid. We grew up together, very much like your Petronas commercials that we are missing nowadays. Go back to the small little kampongs, you know. We didn't think about how much money I want to make. We didn't think about how much land I want to conquer. I didn't think about, you know, the Chinese are making more than me. We didn't think about the Indians are making more than me. We just think about, hey, kita kawan kan semua. Kita anak-anak Malaysia kan, main bola sikit, happy-happy, and grow a football team, put the races together, live together, and stop talking so much about racism. There's no racism if we don't talk about it, you know. You're not hiding away from it. You just live life. Live like a Malaysian. Fight for your own desire and your needs as a citizen. Stop saying, you know, because you're Melayu, you dapat lebih dari saya, it's not fair. Why do we always say things are not fair? Why can't we just say, whatever I want, let's go fight for it. If I am good, I'll get it. Stop saying that, you know, the Chinese have better opportunities because they are more hungry. Stop saying, stop fighting, stop saying things that creates more unnecessary reasons for people to be less patriotic towards the country and more driven to be race-driven. Stop talking about all this nonsense, you know. Start loving each other more. I think the young people prefer us to understand that if we call ourselves Malaysians, let me see that you truly love one another by doing things for one another. Don't care what you are, care about what you do for one another.
Adding to that, actually, I went for national service. It was pretty good for 3 months. But one thing I didn't like was the fact that when we were sleeping in dorms, they made us sleep with other races. I don't mean that as a bad thing, but I mean they forced us, like, they had to have a ratio to it, a quota, like 7 Malays in one room, 2 Malays, 2 Chinese in one room, 1 Indian, to balance it out. So I feel that, why are you forcing people to, you know,
integrate?
Integrate. You should give people the opportunity to do it itself. Just like eating itself. When we were eating in the canteen for national service at my camp, we had to sit like Malay, or Malay, Chinese, Malay, Indian, Chinese, Malay, something like that. So I feel that, in a way, I got closer to the other races. I understand them more. I understood Malaysia more. But as soon as it was over, it was...
That's it. That's forgotten. Okay.
It's not sustainable.
We need to break. I need a break. I think you do too, Ernie. And we'll have more from Ernie and also find out more on what Daniel was talking about. Also on racial lines. Be back on Hello Malaysia right away. Don't go away. Yes, and thanks for staying with us. We've been talking to Ernie Chen, who is founder and CEO of Edson Group of Companies, and also Daniel Tan, who is an apprentice over there, and of course representing the younger generation in his group. And how long are you going to be at Out Loud?
This is actually my 2nd week. I'll be there for 3 months.
And then you're going to Australia?
Yes,
study. Right. Why did you pick Australia? Why can't it be in Malaysia?
To be honest, one of the reasons why I chose Australia was actually because I have a lot of friends in Australia. I'm just following the crowd, if you can say that. But going overseas to study, just like, you know, doing anything overseas has its benefits. I feel that, you know, I can get a lot of experiences, I get a lot of knowledge there. So I think that's the reason why I chose it. But also because I want the opportunity to learn more. I've always loved learning. And I think that Australia can give me a learning experience that Malaysia cannot give. I can meet new people, I can try new things, and...
You mean learning live?
Yeah, not just learning as in education learning or in school.
Life experiences.
Yeah, life experiences, also, learn new cultures, play new sports, eat different kinds of food. And I think that is what everyone should try in their life, actually.
So this is not it's got nothing to do about being less patriotic, definitely.
No, actually not.
Yeah.
I think being young, this is what they look forward to. To me, it represents a very typical standard of the younger generation today, and it's totally
Very
fine.
curious.
Yeah, it's totally fine for them to want to explore. I mean, even my time, I want to explore. I want to learn everything, see everything, do everything. But
Even now, Ernie.
even now, yes, all the time. So I think it's more important for us to make sure that it doesn't matter where they go, we must always encourage. But the more important factor is that before they go and when they are there, when they are continuously reading about Malaysia, they must always find reasons that we are giving them to feel patriotic towards the country. So it doesn't really matter what happens to the younger generation today as far as where they want to be, what they want to explore in, encourage that. However, give them reason wherever they may be, they always are shouting about great being a Malaysian, love to go back to my country all the time. I can't wait to see my other Malaysians. Not just I can't wait to see my girlfriend or my parents only. You know, I can't wait to see Malaysia. I can't wait to come back and fellowship with other Malaysians because it's just a good feeling to come back home. That's what we want them to feel before they leave the country. And when they come, wherever they are, they will always want to say, you know what, it's great being in Malaysia. It doesn't matter where you are.
But don't you think that sometimes, I don't know about you, Ernie, but you tend to be more Malaysian and more patriotic when you're overseas, because you know you have this feeling of, oh, I'm glad if I met another Malaysian and I knew that you were Malaysian but I don't know you, but you say that you're from Malaysia and you say you're from Malaysia and I say, oh, you know, and then there's this bonding, immediate bonding, you see.
It's always about the scarcity. I mean, if you don't have enough of that same thing, you always tend to long for it more. So if I meet you and we're the only two Malaysians in the whole entire university, I will hold on to you and say, and we're the only two Malaysians here, you know. I really feel you understand me. But my concern is, will that be gone in time to come because we lose our identity as Malaysians, because we are not working hard enough towards having this sense of belonging to the country. And a lot of people who have left the country are losing that sense of belonging even before they leave the country. Mr. Lingam pointed out just now that he used to love the country so much more. Not that he has anything less to love the country for, but it is important for us to continuously build on providing reason as a country for our Malaysians and future generations to fall in love once again. I'm sure everyone has fallen in love before. Imagine how it feels like to fall in love once again with our country. If we have lost that today, imagine working towards putting the effort, building the relationship with our country, not just with a girl, with a country, not just with a boy. Think about it. Put that effort into it. Work towards it. And when we put more effort for our country, more pain goes into it, we will love our country more.
Yeah, I think we should identify something in our country that we love so much and we are going to miss when we are not here, and you know, this is what we're going to think about. Yeah, I think, you know, like some people, it will be definitely the food and certain places that you go, the weather, the greens, you know.
It doesn't matter what kind of nasi lemak you can get from America or Australia. It will never be the same with the nasi lemak in Malaysia.
Never taste the same.
It will never be the same roti canai, teh tarik you will ever get in Malaysia.
So are you coming back to work here?
Good question. I feel that even though, you know, I want to go overseas, I want to work overseas, I definitely want to work overseas, I feel that there's this need inside of me that wants to come back, because like Malaysia is my home. Going overseas, I've been overseas before, and I think that after a while you start developing this, like you start missing home. And as you said, you know, I love the food, I love the people here, I love the country, I love the weather.
He's patriotic, and you didn't know.
Yep.
You didn't know.
I am patriotic, but unfortunately, I mean, there are a lot of more things I respect about other countries. A lot of things, you know, I wish Malaysia can be.
Fair. I mean, that's a fair comment.
I always ask a question. I mean, what happened to 9/11 in America?
Yes.
And the whole country came together wholeheartedly. Do we need such an incident for us to come together? Will we come together?
But I think we have little incidents where people actually come together, they contribute not only in kind but also in money, and also they, you know, take an effort to take part in missions, you know. I think that there should be more humanitarian missions in the country and not outside. What do you think, Ernie?
I totally agree, and I always feel that we don't do enough for the poor, the people in poverty, living in poverty. We need to do more of that, and the more we're able to do that, the greater it would be. We're opening a new restaurant next week, and one of the reasons why we're opening is because we're going to start like a soup kitchen every Sunday, where we are going to be providing free food for the community that is poor. So we're going to shuttle poor people to our restaurant and feed them. Or every day when we have leftover of the meals that we sell, we're going to pack them up and bring it to the people on the streets.
Where is this restaurant?
At Damansara Perdana, at our office itself.
Where your office
It's
is?
called Sambal Biniku. So we're going to be having food. And we feel that sometimes it doesn't take a lot. It just takes that desire to just give back. That little things that you do will help the other Malaysians become more patriotic.
Okay, how can people out there contribute to this effort that you're doing?
Very simple. Two things. First, they can be contributing food, right? And secondly, or money that can be bought, we can buy food with.
Okay, or labor.
Or labor. Secondly is labor. They can come to our restaurant and help out on the weekend because our cooks are going to be on holiday. So we were going to go to the kitchen and cook and serve, pack and serve to the poor. So that's what we're going to be doing. I think those little acts will help the people on the streets to feel more patriotic towards the country because they feel that Malaysians do care, and that's important. The word is called care. We need to care more about our fellow Malaysians, for them to feel that there is a reason for me to love my country more because my fellow Malaysians are great. And it's bottom line, it's not about the greatest buildings in the world that I'm proud of. It's the other Malaysians that I live with and do things with that makes me feel proud as a Malaysian. We may have the greatest, tallest buildings, the best F1 facility. Bottom line, very simple. Do I love to live and play, work, and have fun with my fellow Malaysians? That will make me feel a lot more patriotic. Some of my reasons of becoming more Malaysian and more proud to be Malaysian is because of my business partners, my family, some of them who live like a true Malaysian, right? They ask questions like, for example, do you call everyone a boss at a mamak store? If you do that, it means you are more Malaysian than you do know. And if you call everyone, yo bro, if you say that to everyone, you're more Malaysian than you think you really are.
Right.
So I think sometimes it's very important for us to understand what makes us more Malaysian than we really
We
are.
even call our girlfriends bro.
Yeah, bro, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
How you doing, bro?
Yes, yes.
That makes us Malaysian, yeah?
Okay, Daniel, say something about all of this. I mean, you are, like Ernie said, you were born in the U.S., but of course you lived and studied here, and you are going to Australia. And looking at education system, and its role, do you think that it has played an active part, or do you have any suggestions as to, what kind of education will be effective to instill the spirit of patriotism, especially among younger generations?
Firstly, I think that the fact that so many people like myself and the younger generation who want to go overseas has nothing to do with the fact that we are not patriotic. It's the fact that we have so much more opportunities and benefits overseas. Like you go Australia, there's like a higher employment rate. People get paid more over there. You go US, there's more opportunities for jobs, and US is known for the place, to like start your own business, stuff like that. About schools, I'm not too sure, because I think that the only way I've always been taught to be patriotic and to know about my country is through like just reading history books, by being forced to sing songs that I don't even know lyrics to. I mean, the only song I know by heart, to be honest, is Negara Ku. So what?
But that's good enough.
That's good enough.
That's good enough. Okay, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back on Hello Malaysia. We'll be talking to Ernie and also Daniel right after the short break. Stay with us. Yes, welcome back. And during the break, I did hear the phone ringing. Farish, do we have a caller on the line? Oh, okay, we're standing by, but while we're trying to retrieve that call, Ernie, we are talking about education to develop patriotic future generations, and a very important question has come up, and this is, do you think that the actions or lack of actions of politicians in Malaysia, such as being dishonest, has anything to do with the level of patriotism in Malaysia?
Definitely. Politicians are all liars. All politicians from both sides of the parties are liars. I mean, that's how they get to become where they are today. Are they all good politicians in the government? I don't think so. Are they all good politicians from the opposition? I don't think so either. I've met a lot of politicians from both parties, and they are both good and bad. what's more important is that what the politicians say are sometimes not that important for us to feel more patriotic. Because in fact, sometimes of what they do and say make us feel really angry with our country. Sometimes what they represent is not in line with the values that we believe in as what it needs to be Malaysian. So to be true Malaysians, to build our patriotism towards our country, forget about the politicians as to what they say. They're always saying because they are having this idea of being more corrupted is better, and all comes from greed. Being more corrupted is always better for my own cronies, and that happens everywhere. So for us to feel more patriotic, we need to first find it within ourselves.
Yeah.
We are encouraging that. We put the people in position. So if we want to blame anyone, don't point the fingers at the politicians. If you know that they're not doing what you put them in place to do, get them out of the place.
On that note, we have Yap from KL on the line. Hello? Hello, Mr. Yap. Hello? Okay, I think we have just lost Mr. Yap, and time is running very fast here. We are on to our last segment, and that was a very good comment you made, Ernie. Would you like to say anything or add to what Ernie said?
About politicians in Malaysia and their actions.
Yeah.
I feel that the politicians in Malaysia, I mean, I'm going to relate this to the younger generation. The younger generation these days, we have better access compared to the older generation. We can access information,
No,
news.
that's true, Ernie.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
We can access information, way easier these days. We have, can use on smartphones, we can use internet, so we know.
You don't need the mainstream media.
Yes, but we still have it, and it's improved, and it's less filtered to see stuff online. So, because of that, I feel that, we know stuff that is going on. We know if a politician did something scandalous. We know if people are forming groups and alliances and are going against the government, per se. So I feel because of this, it has allowed us to be less naive. We know what's going on, and it allows us to create our own opinion.
But does it affect your level of patriotism?
Obviously, because if we know something that's going on, which I think a lot of people couldn't have, like people back in the days, maybe they were not, they don't know what's going on. Whereas someone in my shoes, at this time of age, we know what's going on. We know that there's something wrong with our government. We know that people are voicing out why. We know what they're doing.
Yep.
And because of that, I think it opens our eyes. It says that we want to, we want to join you. We think that that's not right, and we form our own opinions on this.
They are much more informed than we think they are, and they're much more opinionated than we think they are. So it's important for us to see the reality. It's not just running a big old campaign, bring the youth together and have a rah-rah session for a day and think everything is fine and dandy. It's not. The young people are a lot smarter than we think they are. They're better informed. Every single second of the day, they're on Facebook. I mean, they post everything that they want to post. What you gonna do? Find the reality. That's the fact. What you report in the media may not necessarily be what they are getting on new media.
Right.
So it's important for us to face reality. Do not lie to ourselves and feel that everything is okay. Things are not okay. I brought a young man here to share what they know, what they believe in, so that the country can get better. Reality is important for us to face. Lying to ourselves, making things look good is not going to change anything. If we truly love our country, do something and make it better.
Right. And having said that, why, Ernie, do you think some Malaysians are more patriotic than others?
Malaysians, some are more patriotic than others is because they decide to be more patriotic. We choose to be more patriotic than others. Some people always just say that the country is not doing enough. Yes, but we are the country. The country is nothing without us as Malaysians.
Right.
So if we are more patriotic than someone else, it's because I said to myself, I chose to be more patriotic to my country because I love my country. This is what I'm going to do for my country, not what my country is going to do for me first. So if you start doing more, you put more effort into it, you do more for your country, I guarantee you, you will love your country more. You will have more pain along the way doing that, but I assure you, you will definitely fall in love with your country much, much more. Because every single little bit that you don't like of what's happening for Malaysia, you are going to do more to make sure it's going to get better. That's going to make us become more patriotic.
And I also think that it has also a lot to do with political parties, where they should break down or dilute the racial lines and make them become less communal, because it has been communal from the Party Perikatan days itself. So it probably should start from there. If it didn't work before, it could work now.
It definitely was effective back then. Times have changed. We have come from 1957 to our recent Hari Malaysia. We didn't used to celebrate Hari Malaysia. Now we do. So the governing, I won't even call them politicians. If you're in government, our MPs out there, this is what you should be debating about and getting it straight. We need to just do one very simple thing. Have a party. It doesn't matter what race you are. If you are competent to do the job, let it be. So be it.
Are you going to start that party?
Who, myself? I've started one long time ago.
Can I join?
Sure you can.
What's it called?
It's called Wednesdays with Ernie.
Okay, join us again next Wednesday. Yeah, Ernie, thank you so much. Next week, we'll be talking about education for a higher income economy. And that is very apt, because that will be a run-up to Budget 2012, which will be announced on the 7th of October. And that is a Friday, in the evening. Daniel, you are interested in the budget, right?
Definitely. How can I not be interested?
So we might actually have him back again next week. Okay, thank you so much. Also, Daniel, for joining us, for your very honest and down-to-earth input. Ernie, any final words from you?
Yes. Love Malaysia. As a Malaysian, don't compare with other people. Do more, do better.
Thank you so much. And to all of you out there, we'd like to play this song again. This is a video clip in commemoration with One Malaysia, and it's called This Is Who We Are, and this was produced by Edson Group of Companies and also Out Loud Studios, presented in 4 languages. Take a look.
Saling memerlukan antara kita.